I think anybody that's not Max, it's not Red Bull dominating, is good. And McLaren has the history. You need two drivers to win a Constructors' Championship. If Liam is not putting points on the board, yeah, that's going to be a hot seat. The other aspect of this is Yuki Tsunoda is putting up very impressive drives in the second car, the junior Red Bull, so to speak.
DSPN, the Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
He's our main man for all things F1 analyst at Business of Speed. Vincenzo Landino joins us as we look back at the Melbourne GP, the opening round of the F1 season. I'm going to say Happy New Year to you because we haven't spoken since last year. Welcome to the show again, my friend.
Is it okay to say Happy New Year this late in the year?
Well, I don't know. Somebody will tell us off for it. It's nice to see you.
Hey, it's good seeing you. I'm glad we can talk about Formula One again.
What a fantastic opening race, I thought. Look, it had everything, didn't it? It had the bumps and the bruises. It had the weather come in. But any race you can get where it's a nyo going across that finish line and 2 laps or 3 laps to go where you had Lando Norris with all the psychological pressure in his head, Max Verstappen behind him, the DRS potential kicking in there, and those guys going head-to-head for those last 3 laps. Your thoughts on it? Did you enjoy it?
I did. I thought there was quite a bit of drama. Of course, the rain always brings that out. So we saw a lot of things that, you may not normally see. And I don't know that we'll see in regular weather races. But the rookies showed their challenges and their struggles. But it also, it bit Alonso and Sainz as well. So the rain got a little bit of everybody. I thought we had, that drama. And yeah, towards the end, I really thought Max might catch Lando, but he didn't. And I thought that was, the fact that we had that much anticipation and it really played out exactly how many of us thought it would was good. Overall, very good race.
Okay, so Max during the week had said that, hey, look, the McLaren is going to be faster. In the end, it was so close. Came down to driver's skill as much as anything. And Lando saying, it's not the car, it's not the car. How much of that win had to do with the car, him putting it on pole and that car being faster?
That car's quick. It's and I don't know if you saw that today. The technical directive is moved up for China with the rear wings, the mini DRS challenge they were having, which many think will affect McLaren. I think the car has a lot to do with it. But also, in Red Bull's case, you have a generational driver in Max Verstappen, who we don't really know what that car. We don't know what it can do. It doesn't seem to be the fastest. It doesn't seem to be the best in any of the corners. So yeah, Max does make a difference. A very good driver will make a difference, but if you don't have the car, you can't win. So I think Lando has a little bit of both. He's a very good driver, and he's definitely got a car that is quick. I talked to a lot of folks that were there and that have seen the car on track and said it is by far faster than everything else on the track this year. It just looks faster. It flies around the corners. It barely moves. It's on rails.
Is that the best result for F1 in general, that it wasn't Max Verstappen winning the first 10 races or however many he won like last year, that now there is absolute real competition going on here and Red Bull are going to have to up their game as well? So all the intrigue around all of that and all the speculation and that with so many talking points as we go into this weekend.
Yeah, that's a good question. I want to caveat the question by saying that we're in the final year of the current regulation set. So it was set up to be, everything has added up to this point where the teams that are still working on this car are going to be fighting for it. And I think Red Bull might have just started working on 2026 already. They may not continue working on 25. With that said, I do think it's a very good result. Is it the best result? I think anybody that is not Max Verstappen is a good result for F1. It doesn't matter to me, but I think anybody that's not Max, it's not Red Bull dominating, is good. And McLaren has the history. They've got a lot of sponsors, so they're keeping a lot of people happy. They're bringing a lot of money into the sport. McLaren is a very good case for F1.
Ferrari. What can we learn at all from the performance of Lewis Hamilton in that car?
There's a lot to be desired, and I don't know that 2025 will be the year we'll see it. There was a lot of hype going in, and that raised a lot of expectation. I don't know that 2025 was ever really going to be the year, just because of, again, new regulations set next year. A lot of speculation that Ferrari has nailed the engine regulation set for next year. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect as someone who classifies as a Ferrari fan, who identifies as a Ferrari fan. I have no expectations. I think Lewis is going to have, a heart. We saw it yesterday or on Saturday night, whatever it was. We saw it with just between him and his engineer. There's a lot to be learned there. Those are things that we couldn't have anticipated ahead of time as much as we did. Lewis saying, "I don't need you to talk to me right now. Stop talking." And
I thought
constant repetition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that's something that is going to have to get worked out. You have the strategy is clearly still a problem. They have not fixed that. Fred Vasseur has to be absolutely gouging his eyes out after seeing the strategy that they decide to go with. It doesn't seem like they know how to function in changing weather conditions ever. And it continues. So that's something that either Lewis and Charles are going to have to come to grips with and call their own strategy, much like we saw Sainz do and win some races that way, or they're going to have a really, really tough time. And I suspect there might be something with the gear box as well. Ferrari raised the ride height, which I think is what absolutely throttled their performance. And I noticed that Ali Behrman had some gear issues. Lewis said something about his gear sync going. Maybe there's an issue there. I hope it's not the case, but it's going to be a tough one for Ferrari this year.
It's leave you out with Liam Lawson, and obviously, here in New Zealand, we're extremely proud of the young man. Having a New Zealander racing in Formula One again, it's just incredible for us. You made a comment, though, right at the start, a tweet, which has got a lot of attention here in New Zealand, that you said he's going to be scrubbing the factory floor by round 8. He spins out in practice. He hits the wall during the race. Christian Horner's come out and made a point and said, look, he had the second fastest lap there. We know that there are tyre issues in that. So just in terms of his performance, and just going back to that tweet, so just explain all of that for us, please.
Yeah, knowing Red Bull and knowing Dr. Marco and just how they are with their second drivers, I could completely see Liam getting bumped down and maybe them calling up a different driver into the prime time seat. It just depends on what the strategy is for Red Bull this year. If they are okay with, they lost the Constructors' Championship last year because they didn't have a second driver that was putting enough points on the board week in and week out. You need two drivers to win a Constructors' Championship. It's impossible to do it with just one. It really is. So if Liam is not putting points on the board, that's going to be a hot seat. And that would be for anybody that's in the second seat at Red Bull. If that's a second seat at Williams or a second seat at Racing Bulls, it's a different story, but it's a second seat at Red Bull. And I don't know that they're ready to give up on trying to fight for the championship. And, Christian Horner and Verstappen, no one's going to want to just concede. So if Liam doesn't put up points, I don't know how long they would give him. Especially, here's the other thing, and I like Liam. I think he's a great young driver. The other aspect of this is Yuki Tsunoda is putting up very impressive drives in the second car, in the second Red Bull, the junior Red Bull, so to speak. And he beat Liam quite a bit last year in the car. So I don't know if Yuki's ever going to get a shot at it, but if someone is not performing, I could see a shakeup. And I say week 8. I don't know. I just made up something. I have no knowledge of it. I just made it up.
Vincenzo, thank you so much for your time. Let's just finish quickly with China. What do we expect this weekend then?
I think that if Ferrari is going to be decent. This is probably might be the Czech track. They're historically pretty good at Shanghai. I am very curious to see how the technical directive being moved up on the flexi wings affects everybody. If in fact McLaren was the who the FIA was targeting, we could see quite a bit of performance being sapped from that car. Mercedes, I'm impressed with them, so I'm going to look at Mercedes and Williams as your surprises for China.
DSPN.